Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? The time is 5 o'clock and it is a Wednesday, June 5th. Greetings, 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 greetings. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. As always, I'll start at 5:03. It might just be me and you today. There I am, me and this red lipstick. One more minute and I will get started. I'm with it, I know. I got the cat eyes on today. I saw that. Thank you. I did see that right before. We'll discuss that. I might make that a topic because what is very different than what the people are putting in Divas. Hey friend, is very different than what other people are saying. So but I'm gonna get started because y'all don't want to talk about pick me today. Y'all came to hear about beauty for your ashes. So if you've already seen from I'm gonna just start it out. Y'all already know my name is Monique and I am coming to you live from Huntsville. And one of my favorite scriptures, I have several, but one of my favorite scriptures is Isaiah 31 and the verses 3. And it says to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and the garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Now, if you know me, well, you don't even got to know me. If you've been on any of these lives, I'm always very transparent about who I am, what I am, and what this life has been like for me. And I've loved the scripture for many reasons. And a lot of it has to do with my life hasn't been a cakewalk. So that scripture alone, there's several others, but that one gives me strength to know that all this hell I've been through in this thing called life, it truly is going to be for my good eventually, and that I will get a crown of beauty for all that I've gone through. But I still have a responsibility. Some of the hell I've been through is because of decisions I've made, and then some of it's just been the cards that I was dealt. A card I was dealt was my father was murdered when I was 8 years old. I had no control over that. I wasn't, that wasn't in the book of Monique for me to say, oh, I'm going to, be a child that grows up without my father. However, that was just the cards that was dealt. And so when I look at that scripture, it just reassures me that life will be beautiful if you trust the process. And so, with that being said, I had to truly learn that true beauty came from giving God the complete pain, all of my pain and all of my hurt. I had to just give it to him. I could no longer hold on to it. And I held on to the pain for a long time because it became a safety net. The pain was a way for me to protect myself. My supervisor is sending me a text. It's after 5. I'm off the clock. But so it just was a way for me to protect myself. But it created for more hardship because in protecting myself, I created more, like I said, more hardship for myself. So now I want to connect a couple of stories. And the first person I thought about when I was thinking about beauty for the ashes was Ruth. And when I think about, so I'm not going to go through the whole book of Ruth. It's not very long, but it to me, she's an example of somebody who could have stayed stuck, but she chose to move forward, and she ended up receiving that crown of beauty that I was just talking about. So during the book of Ruth, there's a famine going on. And while there's a famine going on, she meets her husband. She gets married. They're together for 10 years and then he dies. So, actually, her husband dies and so does her sister-in-law. So both their husbands die because they're at war. So they die. And they, like I said, they had been together for 10 years. So famine, it's now a famine and she's a widow. So then she has to make a decision. Do I go back to be with my people that I know, or do I go with Naomi? And Naomi is her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law is actually telling her, no, go be with your people. There's nothing I can do for you. I can't have another child, and even if I did, are you gonna wait for him to grow up to be your husband? Just go back to your own people, find you another husband, live life and enjoy your life. However, Ruth had saw the blessings of God that had been given to Naomi. So she decides, nope, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to serve your God. I want your God to be my God. So even though Naomi really didn't have, because God was not the God that Naomi served was not the God that she served. And so I personally believe that she saw the blessings that Naomi was getting from God, and she went ahead and connected herself to her because she wanted some of that too. She had seen, and it makes me think about even myself and my personal journey. I didn't always want to just trust God, but I saw God moving in other people's lives. And I was like, well, I want some of that. I want to get some of that blessing they got over there. So I had to start to learn to have a relationship with God on my own. So now she goes off to be with him. And I want to take a commercial break real quick. Because like I said, she could have made a decision to return back to what she knew. How many of us have done that? How many of us have returned back to old habits, have returned back to old lifestyles, have returned back to old people because it's familiar, it's because it's what we know. We really don't know the unknown, but we know how this person is going to act. If we go to the same restaurant, we know how this chicken should taste. It's familiar. And so but the familiar can get you tricked up if you're not careful. Right, the comfortability of it all. So she didn't do that. But we have an example. That's why I said we're going to take a commercial, because I wanted to bring in Lot's wife. We don't do a lot of talking about Lot's wife because we'll just know her. She's Lot's wife. She don't even have a name. So, but the thing about Lot's wife is she wasn't willing to give up the past. And when she was instructed not to look back, she did just that. The very thing she was told not to do, she saw God moving in her, not only her life, but in his uncle's life. His uncle was Abraham. So she saw how God was increasing their life and how God was doing things, but she still wanted to see what was back there. And just making one quick decision to turn her head and look back caused her to become a pillar of salt. She wasn't ready for what was ahead. So we have to also ask ourselves, are we ready for what's the next level? Even if we don't know what the next level is, are you well ready to leave whatever it is you got, whatever it is you know today, for something better? And that's hard. Like, I really, when, and I have to do it even today with my toxic traits and my, because toxicity was a love language for me. And so I would find myself looking in the rearview mirror because it was easier. I knew what was back there, but if I'm steadily staring at the rearview mirror, I'm gonna have an accident because I'm not paying attention to what's ahead. I'm gonna miss my turn that clearly could be saying turn right or turn left, but I'm gonna miss it because I'm not ready for it. And so sometimes we just miss stuff because we're just not ready for it. So now back to Ruth. So now, in the pillar of salt, that's Genesis 19:26. So now Ruth, like I said, she just didn't make a decision to follow Naomi. She made a decision to follow Naomi's God. So, and that is Ruth 1:16. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole book of Ruth. I'm going to give it to y'all real cute in the box. But, so I'm trying to, because I got, y'all know I got my little points right here. But, so now they go back to Birmingham where Naomi is from. So they're back in Birmingham. They don't have a job. There's no husband, so they got to provide for themselves. And so Naomi is an older woman. So Ruth goes out and she finds a job gathering wheat. So she's out there gleaning, and then Boaz sees her and he says, okay, who is she? The workers say, oh, that's Naomi's relative. They tell him a little bit about her, and he says, listen, don't do nothing to her. Because as an uncovered woman, because you're uncovered if you weren't married during that time, he was like, don't do anything to her. Do not harm her, and make life easier for her. So she comes home with all this wheat, and Naomi is like, wait a minute, where is this coming? Where were you at? Where did you get? She says, oh, I was at Boaz's wheat harvest. I don't know, the field. I'm at Boaz's field. And so now Naomi puts her up on game. And y'all know this part of the story where, she starts to tell her how to dress and where to go and, present yourself to him. And so she has a conversation with Boaz and she explains her situation to him. He's like, listen, it's one a little closer in relationship than me, but let me go talk to him. Go home. Don't tell anybody you was here. Go home and let me handle it. He's quick about it. He goes, he talks to the closer relative. That relative's like, yeah, no, I'm good. You guys go ahead and you take her for yourself, because I think that's going to create a little problem with the wives I already got going on. So they get married, and we know that she's like the great-great-grandmother to Jesus. However, the point that I want to make here, what would Ruth have missed if she had chose to go back home? If she had chose that, my back is against the wall, I'm a woman, I'm not going to be able to provide for myself. Not only am I providing for myself, but I also got to provide for this, my mother-in-law. This is too much. I ain't signed up for this. I'm going to go back to my daddy's house. But if she had did that, she would have went from being the worker to being the owner of that same field. So I just want to say that this is going to be quick today. Also, as I think about it, and I was going to type this up, but this also reminds me, if you want to read the book of Esther, Esther is the same situation. Esther she was an orphan. Both her parents had died. She was living with her uncle. Her uncle was a eunuch in Pharaoh's house. But she was gorgeous. She was just absolutely beautiful. But she could have been like, well, I'm an orphan. I got all these things against me. I don't got a mama and a daddy. So nope, I'ma just be hell bent on being hell bent. But she didn't choose to do that. She listened to her uncle. Everything he told her to do, she did to the T. She found favor everywhere she went. There's that beauty. That beauty is starting to come from them ashes. And so then she ends up replacing Queen Vashti and becoming the queen. And she becomes the queen, and she actually saves her people. So I just because it seems hard, because I'm telling you, there are some things, it's some supervisors I want to send emails to. I want to take them out to lunch. I want to kiss them, because if they hadn't have been such jerks, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing today, because it was all a setup. I remember when I had my daughter, and I was ready to go back to work after being on FMLA. I sent my supervisor a text message, says, hey, I'm coming back to work. He didn't even respond. HR sends me a message via my email and says, you're being laid off. Now, who gets laid off during FMLA? But I get laid off. And it was hard. It was so hard going through that process. But I actually was able to spend the first year and a half with my daughter. So I didn't have to worry about a babysitter. That was when unemployment, I was able to get unemployment that whole time. God just made a way. And when I was going through it, I didn't see the beauty in that. Here I would have had to drop my child off with somebody, hoping that they would take the best care of her and do the things they needed to do for her. And God equipped me to be able to do it. And so the same, even when I got the job down here, I could have very easily I remember being in Dubai. Well, first of all, I was on a PIP. So if you don't know what a PIP is a improvement plan. So I was losing my job, and I remember I was going around putting oil on their doors, putting oil on their keyboards, because I'm trying to pray that God, I keep my job. I'm going to keep this job. I'm going to keep this job. And so, but I had went to Dubai. And when I went to Dubai, I was sitting on the sand, and it's a picture of my face kind of like this, and a picture of me being in Dubai. I'm going to post it on Facebook. And I remember praying to God, and I said, Lord, you told Abraham that his descendants would be so numerous we couldn't count them. And he said it would be like the stars in heaven and like the sand. And I said, and I wanted his descendants. And I got up from that sand, and I was like, I'm trusting you. I don't know what you're about to do, but I'm trusting you. I went back to work. I came back to work a day early, and HR was like, oh, you're back early. And I was thinking like, dang, they on my time card like that? I came back early and they fired me 2 days later. But God had it all worked out. I didn't know. That was November of 2019. I had no idea that there was about to be a thing called a pandemic in February of 2020. God had already removed me from that job, moved me to Alabama to a job where I could completely work from home and be able to be there with my daughter yet again, because now we're in a foreign place. We don't have anybody here, and God just worked everything out. So I'm just saying, just trust the process. There truly is beauty for your ashes. I don't care what it is. There was truly beauty for your ashes. You just have to be willing to give God the pain and not choose to hold on to it. Don't be like me. Learn from me. I try to tell Nadia that all the time. Like, listen, you don't have to cross the same bridges that I'm trying to burn. You can truly look at somebody else's situation and say, I don't want none of that. I don't want that smoke. And it's okay not to have that smoke. I tell people all the time, I can learn from any and everybody, even if the lesson is just don't do it. So that's it for today, y'all. It was quick and easy, but I just want y'all to know that there is beauty for your ashes. Read these stories and start seeing yourself in them and just see how God is talking to you through it. I know that sometimes people are like, I don't want to read the Bible, but I'm telling you, you read some of these stories and you like, dang, I ain't know all this. So, but I thank y'all for taking y'all time out to even listen to me. Like I say all the time, I'm not a minister. I'm not a preacher. I'm just somebody that love the Lord, and I want y'all to love him like I do. I want you to fall in love with him as I have. Not perfect. I'm still want to nuck and buck often, but not as often as I used to. Or I may want to, but I don't nuck and buck. There it is. He's grooming me. I'm still in the grooming phase, but I just thank you guys for taking the time and listening to me. All right. Love y'all. Bye.